Admiral Alan Carter stood on the bridge of the UES Challenger. The large view screen showed 5 black ships moving toward Earth. These were the ships of the NIGMA Empire. They were big, at least 3 times the size of the largest human ships. Their hulls were smooth and dark like the space around them, with purple lights that pulsed along their sides. "They're here," said Carter. He was a tall man with gray hair and a face that had seen many battles. He wore the blue uniform of the United Earth Defense Fleet with pride. He had been in space for 30 years, but this was different. This was first contact with the most powerful empire in this part of the galaxy. "Sir, they're asking to speak with us," said Jack Murray, the communications officer. His young face looked worried as he worked at his screen. "Put them on," Carter said. He straightened his uniform and stood tall. The screen changed to show an alien face. It had gray skin with small ridges on its forehead. 6 yellow eyes blinked at different times. When it opened its mouth, Carter saw rows of small, sharp teeth. "I am High Commander Zex Taral of the NIGMA Empire," the alien said. Its voice was deep but smooth. "We have come to inform you that your world and your colonies now fall under our protection and rule." Carter kept his face calm, but he felt anger rise inside him. "I am Admiral Alan Carter of the United Earth Defense Fleet. Earth and our colonies are free and independent. We do not need or want your protection or rule." The alien made a sound that might have been a laugh. "You misunderstand, human. This is not an offer. The NIGMA Empire has ruled this arm of the galaxy for 10,000 years. Your species has spread to 12 star systems in less than 200 years. Such rapid growth is a threat to galactic stability. We have not threatened anyone," Carter said. "We have sought peaceful contact with all species we've encountered." "Peace is maintained through order," Zex Taral said. "And order comes from knowing one's place. Your place is under our rule. We will return in 1 standard galactic month to begin your integration. Prepare your leaders." Carter took a deep breath. He had hoped for a different outcome, but the intelligence reports had prepared him for this. The NIGMA Empire did not make allies. They only made subjects. "Before you go," Carter said, "I would like to give you something." He nodded to Murray, who pressed a button on his console. "We have transmitted our historical archives to your ship," Carter explained. "Thousands of years of human history. I suggest you study them carefully, especially our wars and how we respond to threats." The alien's 6 eyes blinked in sequence. "Is this a threat, Admiral?" "No," Carter said firmly. "It's a warning. Humans don't surrender well. We never have. Look at our history. Look at what happened to those who tried to conquer us even when they were stronger. We are not like the other species you've ruled. We suggest peaceful cooperation instead." The alien commander made that laughing sound again. "How interesting. Most species beg for mercy or offer tribute. You offer history lessons." He leaned forward. "When we return, you will submit or face corrective measures. Your primitive weapons and small fleet cannot stand against the might of the NIGMA." The screen went dark. Carter turned to his crew. They all looked worried, but determined. "Send word to all Earth forces and colonies," he said. "We have 1 month to prepare." 20 minutes later, Carter sat in the war room beneath Geneva. Around the large round table sat Earth's military and scientific leaders. The room was quiet as they processed what had happened. "They didn't even consider peaceful relations," said General Rita Hudson, head of Earth's ground forces. She was a short woman with dark skin and a strong voice that commanded respect. "The NIGMA Empire has conquered 16 species in the last 5,000 years, said Dr. Olivia Reeves, head of xenobiology. She was showing images and data on the main screen. "They evolved as apex predators without natural competition. Their psychology doesn't allow for equals, only rulers and subjects." "How bad is their technology advantage?" asked Carter. Dr. Frank Nelson, Chief of Weapons Development, shook his head. "Bad. Their ships have energy shields we can't penetrate. With standard weapons, their weapons can cut through our best armor like it's paper." "So we're doomed," said someone at the end of the table. "No," Carter said firmly. "Different doesn't mean doomed. It means we need different strategies. He stood up and looked at each person in the room. The NIGMA have never faced a species that truly fought back. They expect us to follow the same pattern as everyone else. Initial resistance, then surrender when we see their power. "What do you suggest?" asked Hudson. "We prepare as if this is the most important fight in human history." "Because it is," Carter said. "Dr. Reeves, I want everything you can find about their biology. Weaknesses, strengths, anything we can use." Reeves nodded. "I've already started analyzing the scan data from their ships. There's something interesting about their neural systems." "Captain Wright," Carter continued, looking at a man with a serious face and short brown hair. "You fought in the Mars colonial conflict. We need your experience with irregular warfare." Samuel Wright nodded. "I'll draft defense protocols for Earth and the colonies." "Lieutenant Morris," Carter said to a young woman with sharp eyes, "analyze their ship's capabilities from the scan data. I want to know how they fight, their tactical patterns, everything." "Yes, sir," Catherine Morris said, already taking notes. Carter looked around the room. "The NIGMA think they know what will happen. They expect us to be like all the others, but we're not. We're humans. We adapt. We survive. We've fought each other for thousands of years, which means we know more about warfare than a species that's only known easy victories." He put his hands on the table and leaned forward. "They didn't listen to our warning, so now we prepare. We have 1 month to get ready for a fight like nothing humanity has faced before. But remember this, in all of human history, whenever someone said we couldn't win, that's exactly when we proved them wrong." The room was quiet for a moment. Then General Hudson stood up. "I'll mobilize Earth's defense forces immediately." One by one, the others stood as well, determination replacing fear on their faces. "They think they're coming to accept our surrender," Carter said. "Instead, they're going to learn why they should have heeded our warning." 3 weeks passed quickly. Earth and its colonies worked day and night to prepare. Ships moved into defense positions. Civilians headed to underground shelters or lunar bases. Scientists and engineers worked without rest to find any advantage against the powerful enemy. Admiral Carter stood on the bridge of the UES Challenger once more. This time, his ship wasn't alone. 31 other human vessels formed a defensive line near Jupiter's orbit. It wasn't much against what was coming, but it was all Earth could gather in 3 weeks. "They're here," said Jack Murray at Communications. His voice was steady now. The fear was still there, but it was mixed with resolve. On the main screen, space seemed to ripple. Then 50 massive NIGMA warships appeared. Each one was dark and smooth like the ships from First Contact, but these were clearly built for war. Sharp edges jutted from their hulls. Weapon ports glowed with purple energy. "All ships hold position," Carter ordered through the fleet channel. "Remember the plan." The NIGMA ships moved forward in perfect formation. They didn't send any messages. They didn't ask for surrender. They simply advanced as if victory was certain. "Sir, they're charging weapons," reported Susan Lee, the sensor officer. Carter nodded. "Start the clock." The lead NIGMA ships fired. Beams of purple energy shot toward the human fleet. But at the last second, the human ships moved in a pattern that seemed random. Most of the beams missed. Those that hit caused damage, but no ships were destroyed. The NIGMA fired again, adjusting their aim. Again, the human ships moved in that same strange pattern. "They're confused," Carter said, watching the enemy ships. "They expected us to either run or fight head-on. They didn't expect us to dance." The ship rocked as it was hit by enemy fire. "Shields at 60%, called the defensive systems. Officer." "Now," Carter ordered. From behind Jupiter's moons, small objects rushed toward the NIGMA fleet. They were too small to be ships, barely larger than a person. The NIGMA ignored them, focusing on the human fleet. That was their mistake. The small objects reached the NIGMA ships and attached to their hulls. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the quantum interference drones activated. Across the NIGMA fleet, ship systems began to fail. Their perfect formation broke. Some ships drifted, while others fired weapons in random directions. "Captain Martinez, go," Carter ordered. The UES Intrepid, hidden in Jupiter's magnetic field, shot forward. It was smaller than the Challenger, built for speed and stealth. Captain Sofia Martinez had been waiting for this moment. Moving in, Martinez responded over the comm. Her ship darted between the confused NIGMA vessels, firing precisely at the spots where Dr. Reeves had identified potential weaknesses. The NIGMA ship's energy shields flickered as the quantum drones interfered with their power systems. Martinez's shot slipped through the gaps, striking the ship's real hulls. 2 NIGMA ships exploded, then another, and another. But the NIGMA were not the rulers of half the galaxy for nothing. They began to adapt. Some ships managed to shake off the drones. Others changed their shield frequencies to resist the interference. All ships engage, Carter ordered. The human fleet moved forward, targeting the damaged NIGMA vessels while avoiding those that had recovered. The battle turned into chaos. Human ships darted between the larger NIGMA vessels, using Jupiter's gravity to make turns no NIGMA ship could match. What humans lacked in technology, they made up for in daring and creativity. After an hour of fighting, 12 NIGMA ships had been destroyed or disabled. But the human fleet had lost 7 ships as well, and the NIGMA still had overwhelming numbers. The main screen on the Challenger lit up. The face of Commander Zexitoral appeared, his 6 yellow eyes narrowed in what might have been anger or respect. It was hard to tell with alien expressions. "Admiral Carter," he said, "your resistance is unprecedented. No species has ever destroyed even one of our warships in an initial engagement. You have destroyed 12. We tried to warn you," Carter replied simply. "Yes, you did," Zexitoral admitted. "And now I see why, but the outcome remains inevitable. Submit now, and we will be merciful. Your species has earned that much." Carter shook his head. "That's not how humans work, Commander. This isn't the end. It's barely the beginning." Zexitoral made a gesture, and the screen went dark. "They're regrouping," Susan Lee reported. "Forming a new attack pattern. All ships fall back to Mars' defensive line," Carter ordered. "We've bloodied their nose. Now we need to prepare for their full attack." The human fleet retreated in good order, leaving behind automated drones to harass the NIGMA as they advanced. Back on Earth, Dr. Olivia Reeves worked furiously in her lab. Around her, screens showed data from the battle. "Look at how they adapted to the drones," she said to her team. "Their neural systems reconfigured almost instantly. But there was a pattern to it." She pointed to a sequence of energy readings. "Their neural systems all adapted in exactly the same way, at exactly the same frequency. That suggests a shared neural structure across all 6 NIGMA species." Engineer Paul Jackson looked up from his workstation. "Could that be a weakness?" "Possibly," Reeves said. "If we could find the right electromagnetic frequency to disrupt that neural structure." "I can help with that," Jackson said. "I've been modifying Earth's communication satellites. If we can tune them to broadcast at that specific frequency." On the Moon, NIGMA forces established their first foothold in the Earth system. They quickly destroyed the human outpost there, broadcasting images of the destruction across human communication channels. They expected fear and pleas for mercy. Instead, their broadcasts were answered by thousands of messages from humans all over Earth and the colonies. The messages varied in words but carried the same meaning. "Come and take it." In his command center on the Challenger, now orbiting Mars, Admiral Carter received the reports of the Moon's fall. "They'll attack Earth next," said Captain Wright. "Yes," Carter agreed, "and we'll be ready for them." He looked at the tactical display showing Earth's defensive systems. "We may have lost the first real battle, but we showed them something important today." "What's that, sir?" asked Lieutenant Morris. "That every victory they achieve will cost them dearly," Carter said. "And humans are willing to pay any price to remain free." 6 months passed since the NIGMA Empire first attacked Earth. What they had expected to be a quick war of conquest had turned into something very different. The NIGMA now had over 200 warships in the Sol system. They controlled Earth's orbit and had destroyed the Mars colony. Yet victory still seemed far away. Admiral Carter looked out the window of his new command center on Titan, Saturn's largest moon. The orange haze of Titan's atmosphere gave everything a strange glow. Carter had moved his command here after the fall of Mars. The thick atmosphere and distance from Earth helped hide their base from NIGMA sensors. "Report," he said to the officers gathered around the table. Captain Wright pulled up a holographic map of the solar system. Red dots showed NIGMA positions. Blue dots showed human forces. There were far more red than blue. "They've landed troops in North America, Europe, and Asia," Wright said. "They control most major cities, but their control doesn't extend far beyond the city limits." "Our people are fighting back," said Lieutenant Morris. "The Chicago militia took out an entire NIGMA patrol yesterday. In Mumbai, they turned the subway system into a trap." Carter nodded. "And our ships?" "We have 67 combat vessels still operational," Wright said. "Most are small and fast. We've been hitting their supply lines, then hiding in the asteroid belt or among the outer moons." "What about Project Sunspear?" Carter asked. Dr. Reeves spoke up. "Eric White says they're close. Maybe 2 more weeks." "Good," Carter said. "We need it." The door opened and Captain Martinez entered. Her uniform was dirty and she looked tired. Her ship, the Intrepid, had just returned from a mission deep in NIGMA-controlled space. "Captain," Carter greeted her. "How did it go?" "We destroyed 3 of their supply ships," Martinez said, "but they're adapting. Each time we use a tactic, it works less well the next time." Carter wasn't surprised. The NIGMA were intelligent. They learned from their mistakes. But so did humans. "They sent another message," Morris said. "They're offering terms." "Let's hear it," Carter said. Morris played the recording. The face of Zex Toral appeared. The NIGMA commander looked different now. His yellow eyes were harder. There was a new scar across one side of his face, a reminder of a close call during the Battle of Mars. "Humans," Zexatoral said. "Your resistance has been noted throughout the galaxy. No species has ever fought us so fiercely. But the outcome remains inevitable. Surrender now, and 10% of your population will be allowed to live as servants. This is our final offer." The message ended. 10%, Wright said quietly. "That's about 1 billion people." "They're getting desperate," Martinez said. 6 months ago, they didn't offer any terms at all." Carter stood up. "Send our usual reply." Morris nodded. The usual reply was simple. No. On Earth, the war continued. The NIGMA controlled the cities from above with their ships and technology. But on the ground, they faced constant resistance. Into what was once Chicago, Police Chief Daniel Russo led a group of fighters through the ruins of downtown. They moved quietly, staying in the shadows of broken buildings. "There," Russo whispered, pointing ahead. A NIGMA patrol walked down the street. There were 6 aliens, each carrying energy weapons. They moved with confidence, not expecting trouble. Russo gave a signal. From different hiding spots, people activated small devices that Dr. Reeves had designed. The devices emitted a specific frequency that disrupted NIGMA sensory systems. The aliens suddenly stopped. They looked around, confused. Their hands went to their heads as if in pain. Russo gave another signal. His people attacked, using simple weapons, baseball bats, kitchen knives, tools. What they lacked in technology, they made up for with numbers and determination. The fight was quick. When it was over, the NIGMA patrol was dead. Russo's people took their weapons and equipment. "Back to base," Russo ordered. "And be careful. They'll send more when these don't report back." In space near Mercury, a hidden human base worked day and night. The base was built inside a large asteroid, hidden from NIGMA sensors. Inside, engineer Eric White led a team working on humanity's most important project, calibrate the array again. White told his team, "We only get one shot at this." The Sun Spear was humanity's biggest weapon, a massive solar amplification array. In simple terms, it was a giant magnifying glass pointed at the sun. When activated, it could focus the sun's energy into a beam powerful enough to destroy even the largest NIGMA ships. "Sir," one of White's team called, "we're ready for a test." White took a deep breath. Do it. The array activated. A thin beam of intensely bright light shot from the array toward a test target, a small asteroid. When the beam hit, the asteroid didn't just break apart. It vaporized completely. White smiled. It works. Tell Admiral Carter the Sun Spear is ready. 2 days later, the NIGMA fleet repositioned. Intelligence suggested they were planning a major attack on Earth's remaining free territories. The NIGMA flagship carrying High Commander Zex Toril moved to the front of the formation. In his command center on Titan, Admiral Carter received the message from White. The Sun Spear was ready. Target their flagship, Carter ordered. Fire when ready. Near Mercury, the Sun Spear powered up. The massive array turned, aiming at the NIGMA flagship. The beam fired, a straight line of concentrated sunlight that crossed the solar system in minutes. The NIGMA had no warning. The beam hit the flagship dead center. For a brief moment, the ship glowed white-hot. Then it exploded into millions of pieces. High Commander Zex Toril and 5,000 NIGMA troops died instantly. The NIGMA response was swift and terrible. Under a new commander, they launched planet-killer weapons at the Mars colony. Even though humans had already abandoned Mars, the symbolism was clear. The entire planet's surface melted under the attack. You could have been valuable subjects, the new NIGMA commander broadcast across all channels. Now you will be an example to any who would defy the Empire. On Titan, Carter watched the destruction of Mars with a grim face. He had expected this response. The NIGMA could not allow any species to challenge them so effectively and live. Sir, Morris said quietly, what do we do now? Carter looked at his officers. They were tired. They had fought hard for 6 months against an enemy with better technology and more ships, but none of them showed any sign of giving up. Now, Carter said, we implement Phoenix Protocol. The officers exchanged looks. Phoenix Protocol was their last resort, a plan so extreme that Carter had kept it secret from all but his highest commanders. Are you sure, sir? Wright asked. Yes, Carter said. They want to make us an example. Instead, we'll make them extinct. 1 year into the war, the situation looked bad for humanity. The NIGMA controlled Earth's orbit. Their ships patrolled the space between planets. Their forces occupied major cities across Earth. By all normal measures, humans were losing. But this was not a normal war. Admiral Carter sat in a small room deep inside the Titan base. With him were his top commanders and Dr. Olivia Reeves. On the table between them sat a small container. Are you sure about this? Carter asked Reeves. She nodded. We've tested it thoroughly. It works exactly as designed. Carter picked up the container. It held a biological agent, a virus created by Dr. Reeves and her team. But this virus didn't target humans. It targeted the NIGMA. It doesn't kill them, Reeves explained again. It just makes them unable to have children. 1 generation, and the NIGMA are gone. And it affects all 6 NIGMA species, Carter asked. Yes, Reeves said. They share a common neural pathway. That's what makes them so adaptable as fighters. But it's also their weakness. Carter put the container down. This was the Phoenix Protocol, not a plan to win the war, but to end the NIGMA threat forever. Begin production, he ordered, and prepare our stealth ships. In another part of the base, Captain Sofia Martinez prepared for her most dangerous mission yet. Her ship, the Intrepid, had been modified with experimental jump drives developed by Dr. Nathan Collins. These drives could send a ship across vast distances instantly, but they were dangerous and unreliable. The calculations must be perfect, Collins told Martinez as they reviewed the mission plan. 1 small error, and you could end up inside a planet or a star. I understand the risks, Martinez said, but this mission is worth it. Her target was Kex Toril Prime, the NIGMA homeworld. No human had ever been there. The mission wasn't to attack, but to broadcast. Martinez would carry Earth's most powerful weapon, the truth. On Earth, the ground war continued. Colonel William Foster led the North American resistance from a hidden base in the Rocky Mountains. The mountains provided natural protection from NIGMA sensors and attacks. "They're moving troops into Denver," reported a scout. "Looks like they're searching for our base again." Foster nodded. He was a former Marine, tough and practical. "Let them search, we'll hit them from behind, same as always." The humans had learned to fight like ghosts, appearing to strike, then vanishing before the NIGMA could respond. It wasn't a way to win the war, but it kept hope alive and tied down NIGMA forces. In space, things were changing too. Small, fast. Human ships used Dr. Collins's jump drives to appear near NIGMA supply lines, attack, and disappear before the NIGMA could react. The NIGMA found their carefully planned war of conquest turning into a costly struggle they never expected. "Admiral," Carter received a message from Captain Martinez. "The Intrepid is ready, sir." "Proceed," Carter ordered. "And good luck." The Intrepid powered up its jump drive. The ship shuddered as energy built up around it. Then, in a flash of light, it vanished from the solar system. When it reappeared, the Intrepid was in orbit around a strange planet. Kextoral Prime was a world of purple oceans and black landmasses. Massive cities covered much of the surface. This was the heart of the NIGMA Empire. "We're here," Martinez told her crew. "Begin the broadcast now before they detect us." Her communications officer activated a special transmitter. It sent a signal directly into the NIGMA Central Communication Network. The signal contained the complete history of human warfare, revolution, and resistance. It showed how humans had fought each other for thousands of years, developing endless ways to win against superior forces. It showed the American Revolution, where farmers defeated the world's strongest army. It showed the resistance movements of World War II, where ordinary people fought against overwhelming odds. It showed guerrilla wars where small forces tied down much larger armies for years. Most importantly, it showed that humans never gave up. They might lose battles, even wars, but they always came back stronger. The NIGMA, who had never faced real resistance before humanity, saw for the first time what they had awakened. "We've been detected," the sensor officer called out. "NIGMA, ships approaching. Jump us out," Martinez ordered. The Intrepid disappeared just as NIGMA weapons fired. It jumped back to Earth space. Mission complete. On Earth, Colonel Foster's forces launched their biggest attack yet. They struck at NIGMA positions across North America simultaneously. They used weapons captured from the NIGMA themselves, turned against their makers. The NIGMA responded with massive force but found only empty camps and triggered traps. Foster's strategy wasn't to hold ground but to make the NIGMA waste resources and manpower. On Kextoral Prime, the NIGMA ruling council met in emergency session. For the first time in their long history, they faced a serious problem. "The war costs too much," said the Commerce Minister. "Our economy cannot support this level of conflict for much longer." "These humans refuse to follow the rules of warfare," complained the War Minister. "They should have surrendered months ago like all other species." "We should use our planet killers on Earth," suggested another council member. "End this resistance permanently, and lose the resources of an entire world," the Commerce Minister argued. "The Empire needs new worlds to grow." While the NIGMA argued, humanity prepared its final moves. Dr. Reeves's biological agent was loaded onto hundreds of small stealth drones. These drones were then placed on human ships equipped with jump drives. Admiral Carter gave the order. Launch. Phoenix Protocol. Human ships jumped to every major NIGMA world. They released the drones, which spread Dr. Reeves's agent into the atmospheres of these planets. Within days, the entire NIGMA species was exposed. None of them died. None of them felt sick, but none of them would ever have children again. On Titan, Admiral Carter received the reports. "It's done," he told his officers. "The NIGMA Empire ends with this generation." Captain Wright looked troubled. "Is this right, sir? Condemning and Sobo entire species to extinction?" "They gave us no choice," Carter said. "They were going to exterminate most of humanity. We warned them. Multiple times. They didn't listen. The NIGMA didn't understand what had happened at first. It would be years before they realized the full impact of the Phoenix Protocol. By then, it would be too late." 3 years after first contact, the war between humans and the NIGMA Empire reached its final phase. On Earth, Humans had reclaimed most of North America and parts of Europe and Asia. In space, human ships moved more freely, striking NIGMA forces, and then jumping away before they could respond. The NIGMA still had more ships and better technology, but they were losing. Not just the war, but their future. Admiral Carter stood in the rebuilt lunar base, looking at Earth through a large window. The blue planet showed scars from 3 years of war, burned forests, destroyed cities, dried up seas. But it was still home. And now, there was hope that humans would keep it. "Admiral," said Lieutenant Morris, "we've received a transmission from the NIGMA. They're requesting a meeting." Carter turned from the window. "What kind of meeting?" "They're calling it peace talks, sir," Morris said, sounding surprised. "Their supreme hierarch wants to meet with you personally." Carter frowned. The NIGMA had never shown interest in peace before. "Where do they want to meet?" "Europa, neutral territory." Carter thought about it. Intelligence reports suggested the NIGMA had been developing a new weapon, something that could trigger massive solar flares. If such a weapon worked, it could burn Earth's surface, killing billions. "It could be a trap," Captain Wright said. "Of course it's a trap," Carter agreed. "But we'll go anyway, and we'll be ready." The meeting was set for 3 days later. Carter took a small delegation with him to Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon. Captain Martinez positioned the human fleet secretly throughout the Jupiter system, ready for Operation Checkmate, humanity's response if the NIGMA tried to use their solar weapon. The meeting took place in a temporary structure on Europa's frozen surface. Carter and 3 officers represented Earth. The NIGMA sent Supreme Hierarch Kavor and 4 advisors. Kavor was larger than other NIGMA Carter had seen. His gray skin had purple markings that indicated his high rank. His 6 yellow eyes studied Carter with what seemed like genuine curiosity. "Admiral Carter," Kavor said, "for 3 years your species has resisted the inevitable. I wanted to meet the being responsible for such an unusual occurrence." "We're just doing what humans have always done," Carter replied, "fighting for our freedom." Kavor made a gesture that might have been respect or amusement. "The Empire has ruled this part of the galaxy for 10,000 years. In all that time, no species has fought us so effectively. Your tactics are unexpected. That's because you've never faced humans before," Carter said simply. "Indeed," Kavor agreed. "And now we must resolve this situation. The war has become costly for both sides." The NIGMA leader activated a holographic display showing a document. "These are our terms. Humans will surrender 90% of your territory. You will provide tribute and workers to the Empire, but your species will be permitted to exist. This is a great honor. We have not made such an offer in 5,000 years." Carter looked at the terms without expression. Then he activated his own holographic display. It showed hundreds of small dots positioned near major NIGMA worlds. Each dot represented a human stealth ship. "You still don't understand," Carter said. "We tried to warn you. Humans don't fight to win. We fight to end threats permanently. Your empire has 2 choices: unconditional surrender and containment, or extinction. You have 1 hour to decide." Kavor's 6 eyes blinked in sequence. "You dare to threaten the NIGMA Empire with what? Your primitive weapons cannot harm our homeworld." "Not weapons," Carter said. "Something far worse." The NIGMA delegation spoke rapidly in their own language. They seemed angry, but also confused. No species had ever dictated terms to the NIGMA before. Finally, Kavor turned back to Carter. "We reject your ultimatum. In fact, this meeting was merely a distraction. Even now, our new weapon is targeting your sun. Soon solar flares will scorch Earth. Then you will understand the price of defying the Empire." He pressed a button on his wrist device, expecting to see confirmation that the weapon had fired. Instead, nothing happened. Carter smiled. "You mean your solar flare device? Dr. Collins neutralized it yesterday. Did you think we wouldn't know about it?" For the first time, fear showed in Kavor's eyes. "What have you done?" "What you forced us to do," Carter said. He pressed his own communications device. "Execute checkmate." Across NIGMA space, human ships deployed Dr. Reeves's biological agent. It spread through the atmospheres of all NIGMA worlds, infecting the entire population with a virus that targeted their reproductive systems. Carter looked directly at Kavor. We offered peace at first contact. You chose war. We offered surrender terms after you destroyed Mars. You refused. Now you face extinction. Not today, but with absolute certainty. Your empire ends with this generation. The NIGMA delegation stared at Carter in horror as they realized what was happening. You have sterilized our entire species? Kavor asked, his voice shaking. Yes, Carter said. His voice wasn't proud or happy, just certain. The virus affects all 6 NIGMA species. It spreads through air, water, and touch. Within days, your entire population will be exposed. None of you will die, but none of you will have children. Kavor stood up, reaching for a weapon at his side. Carter's officers raised their guns, but Carter motioned them to stop. Go ahead, Carter told Kavor. Kill me if it makes you feel better. It changes nothing. The NIGMA Empire is already extinct. You just don't know it yet. Kavor lowered his hand. For the first time in 10,000 years of NIGMA history, a supreme hierarch felt defeat. Why? He asked. Why not simply destroy us with your weapons? Because we're not like you, Carter said. We don't destroy what we don't have to. Your generation can live out your lives. But the threat you pose to others ends forever. In the years that followed, human forces withdrew from NIGMA space. They established a quarantine zone around former NIGMA territory. The once mighty empire began to crumble as the truth spread. Without a future generation, their society lost purpose. Some NIGMA committed suicide. Others tried to find ways to reverse the virus, but Dr. Reeves had made it too complex, too integrated with NIGMA biology. 5 years after the war ended, a memorial was built on the rebuilt Mars colony. It carried a simple message. We warned them. Humanity, tempered by the NIGMA war, emerged as a new power in the galaxy. Other alien civilizations, who had watched the impossible defeat of the NIGMA Empire, approached Earth with diplomatic respect, rather than demands. In his office in Geneva, Admiral Carter, now head of Earth's interstellar relations, greeted representatives from 7 different alien species. They had come to discuss trade and mutual defense. We seek peace, Carter told them. We always have. But remember what happened to the NIGMA. Humans don't make threats. We make promises. The aliens nodded in understanding. The lesson was clear. Throughout the galaxy, do not threaten humanity unless you are prepared for extinction.